Strength isn't found in shouting louder or moving faster. It's forged in the silence you choose when the world demands noise. Every day, you're pulled in 1,000 directions, your energy scattered before you even take your first sip of coffee. And somewhere along the way, the calmness that once anchored you feels like a distant memory. Yet beneath the chaos, there's a truth that few recognize. Real power belongs to the man who can be strong, silent, and unshakable. If you've ever felt drained by constant demands, rushed decisions, or the endless pressure to prove yourself, you're not alone. Many carry this invisible weight, thinking that fighting harder is the only way forward. But the greatest victories are often won not by force, but by stillness. In today's world, mastering calmness is more than peace of mind. It's self-mastery. It's building resilience. It's taking back control of your focus, your decisions, your life. In this journey, we'll uncover how applying Stoic philosophy, embracing mental clarity, and building inner fortitude through daily habits can transform not just how you react, but who you become. And the best part is, you already carry everything you need inside. If you're ready to rebuild your foundation from within, stay with me. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and share your thoughts or your own silent battles in the comments below. Your story matters, and today, it begins with calmness. 1. Preparation. True calm strength doesn't show itself in how loudly you move through the world. It shows in how quietly you prepare when no one is watching. Calmness is not a passive feeling or a luxury for easier days. It is the silent ritual that sharpens you for battles you haven't yet seen. In the noise of life, where every moment demands a reaction, it is easy to confuse movement with progress, urgency with importance. But the man who masters stillness before the storm does not need to fear the storm itself. When your mind races before a challenge, when your instincts push you to rush, that's the moment to slow down and remember. Nothing powerful is built in panic. Calmness is not the absence of fear. It is training the mind to move through fear without breaking form. A calm mind gives you the ability to see clearly when others only see confusion. It lets you act with precision when others collapse under chaos. In Stoic philosophy, preparation is sacred. Marcus Aurelius didn't meet betrayal or loss with frantic decisions. He met them with calm anticipation, not because he expected less from life, but because he had trained for anything life could deliver. Preparation through calm means you do not meet life hoping it will be easy. You meet it ready for it to be hard, and still you move. In the quiet moments when no one is pressing you, you must press yourself. Early mornings when the world is silent are not wasted hours. They are foundations. 10 minutes of silence each day facing your inner noise, breathing through the clutter of thoughts, that is not self-indulgence. It is setting the battlefield in your favor before a single challenge arrives. Without calmness, your mind becomes a battlefield itself. Small obstacles become insurmountable. Minor delays become personal insults. You find yourself bleeding energy into things that don't deserve a drop of your attention. But when you live with calm preparation, you create an internal fortress. Distractions hit the wall but never break through. Your emotional boundaries strengthen. Your decision-making sharpens. Your self-respect grows, not because you shouted louder, but because you moved wiser. Many believe that preparation means doing more, planning harder, and checking lists twice. But true preparation begins long before the tasks. It begins with a mind that knows itself. A mind that does not beg for certainty, but creates clarity through stillness. Calmness becomes the training ground for emotional discipline. It is the slow, steady building of mental resilience, forged in moments when no one applauds and no one notices, but you notice. In a society that glorifies the rushed and frantic, choosing calmness is an act of rebellion. It is a refusal to let outside noise dictate your inner rhythm. It is protecting your focus the way a warrior protects his sword. You do not wait for life to slow down to find your center. You build your center, so life's pace never decides your worth. The doctor is standing over the operating table. The soldier is waiting in silence before a mission. And the craftsman is shaping wood with patient hands. None of them trust noise to prepare them. They trust calm repetition, deliberate awareness, and emotional control to make their actions precise. And when the critical moment comes, they do not hope to rise to the occasion. They rise to the level of their preparation. This is why mastering calmness is mastering readiness itself. It's not about being passive. It's about being prepared so thoroughly that you no longer need to rush. You no longer collapse under stress. You no longer surrender your peace to the world's chaos. Calmness gives you the advantage long before any battle even begins. If you want to shape the man you are becoming, start in silence. Start by refusing to let urgency mold your mind. Start by standing still while the world sprints aimlessly around you. Each silent morning, each deep breath when emotions run hot, each choice to hold your reaction rather than throw it away, these are bricks laid in the fortress you are building. And when the day comes that life hits you harder than you expect, and it will, you will not scramble, you will not fracture. You will move through it with silent certainty, strong, steady, unshakable. Because preparation through calm doesn't just prepare you for life, it transforms who you are when life arrives. To clarity in a noisy world, noise is everywhere. It demands urgency, it demands opinions, it demands reactions. But clarity, true, calm, precise clarity, never comes from rushing to answer the world's noise. It is born in the quiet moments you choose to create, even when everything around you tries to pull you away. The man who moves in noise without first finding clarity is like a sailor trying to navigate a storm with a broken compass. He might move fast, but he's lost. In contrast, the man who stands still, who listens deeper, who filters what matters from what is merely loud, he becomes unstoppable. In a noisy world, the calm man doesn't compete for attention. He sees further because he isn't looking to be seen. His silence is his strategy. His patience is his weapon. Where others react to every provocation, he watches, he reads the room, he moves only when the moment is right. This is not passivity. This is precision. Imagine a crowded business meeting where voices rise, opinions clash, and tension thickens the air. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone fights for their space. Yet in the corner, one man listens. He watches not just what people say, but how they shift in their seats, where their eyes dart, how their tone betrays their doubts. He speaks once, and when he does, the room listens. Not because he was louder, but because he was clearer. This happens not by accident, but by mastery. In the stillness of mind, he preserved his focus. In the midst of the noise, he stayed anchored. He didn't waste his strength, reacting to every voice that sought his attention. Instead, he chose when to speak, and when he did, his words cut through the fog like a blade. Stoic philosophy teaches that clarity is power, because clarity means seeing things as they are, not as you fear them, not as others shout them to be. Epictetus taught that it is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Calmness, therefore, is not just for peace, it is for judgment sharpened against distortion. Building clarity starts by choosing your inputs. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every headline deserves your reaction. Silence is not withdrawal, it is selection. It is recognizing that your mental space is valuable and that you are its guardian. Every morning before the world floods in with noise, you have a choice. You can jump into it blindly, or you can ground yourself. 5 minutes of breathing, no phone, no rush, just awareness. You are not wasting time. You are sharpening your sight. You are sweeping the fog from your inner compass. Throughout the day, when chaos builds and demands your urgency, you can train yourself to pause. To ask quietly, not aloud but within, what truly matters here. Most of what steals your attention will not matter tomorrow. Very little will matter next week. Almost nothing will matter next year. In that truth, clarity rises. Noise feeds reaction. Clarity feeds direction. When you own your clarity, you stop moving because you feel pressured. You move because it's time. You act not because you are provoked, but because you have chosen. In the modern world, reacting to everything is mistaken for being involved. But the Stoic knows, the man who acts only when it is wise to act is the man who moves the world. He chooses battles few even see coming. He preserves his energy for what deserves it. He avoids the costly mistakes that the frantic always make. Clarity is not something you find once and keep forever. It is something you rebuild daily through small choices. The choice to pause before you answer, the choice to question before you assume, the choice to observe before you react. And every small act of clarity you practice becomes a stone in the foundation of your inner power. In time, you will find that the noise outside no longer owns you. It hums, it swirls, it shouts, but you remain still, sharp, prepared. You are no longer part of the noise. You are the man who sees through it. 3. Strength in stillness. True strength is never loud. It does not panic when tested. It does not crumble when faced with uncertainty. Strength, real strength, reveals itself in the moments when everything around you fractures, and yet you remain still. Stillness is not the absence of fear. It is standing steady while fear storms through you. It is holding your ground when instincts scream to run. It is keeping your hands steady when the world shakes the table. The man who trains himself to be still does not avoid the storm. He becomes immovable within it. Imagine a morning when your company announces sudden layoffs. People whisper, emotions spike, rumors spread like wildfire. Some lash out in frustration. Others drown in anxiety, losing hours worrying about futures they cannot control. But the man who holds still does not react to the panic around him. He listens, he calculates, he conserves his energy. While others spiral into chaos, he prepares his next move with quiet certainty. Stillness gives you something that reaction can never offer: control over yourself. In a noisy, urgent world, every emotion is bait, every fear is a hook. Stillness is the discipline of not biting. It is the act of standing at the center of a storm and deciding you will not move unless you choose to. The Stoics understood that external chaos is inevitable, but internal chaos is a choice. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, and plague. Yet his journals never rage against the world. They turn inward to the one battlefield he could master. His victories were not found in public speeches or dramatic actions, but in the quiet fortresses he built inside himself. Stillness, therefore, is not weakness. It is the ultimate form of readiness. It is the space between stimulus and response where true freedom lives. When you are still, you gain something most men never touch: the ability to choose your next action with full awareness, not instinct. Strength in stillness is practical. It shows up in how you manage a difficult conversation without being pulled into anger. It shows up in the restraint not to defend yourself against every insult. It shows up in the patience to listen fully, especially when you are provoked. These small victories, stacked day after day, build a man who does not shatter under pressure. Stillness does not mean doing nothing. It means doing only what matters. It means pausing long enough to see which battles are worth fighting, which words are worth speaking, and which actions will honor the man you are becoming. In stillness, you do not retreat from life. You engage it with clarity and power. When life tests you, and it will, your mind will want to sprint, to lash out, to collapse. But the stronger part of you, the part trained in silence and fortified in stillness, will hold. You will not confuse urgency with importance. You will not mistake movement for strength. You will move when it is wise, not when it is demanded. You cannot control the pace of the world, but you can control the pace within you. Stillness is where you recover your strength, where you rebuild your resilience, where you reclaim the parts of yourself the noise tried to scatter. In time, when storms come and others falter, you will find yourself calm, prepared, and steady. Not because life became easier, but because you became harder to shake. In a world desperate to move faster, you will be the one who moves better. Quietly, powerfully, unshakably. 4. Calmness protects energy. Every day you wake up with a limited reservoir of energy, mental, emotional, and physical. Every thought you entertain, every conflict you enter, every worry you feed, either preserves that energy or leaks it away. Calmness is not a passive state. It is a deliberate defense. It is the silent shield that guards your strength from being drained by noise, by urgency, by things that do not deserve you. Most people lose their energy not because they lack stamina, but because they waste it fighting battles that should have been ignored. They argue with traffic, they wrestle with minor inconveniences, they react to every comment, every criticism, and every unexpected change. In doing so, they hand over their power piece by piece without realizing it. Stoicism teaches another way. It teaches that your energy is sacred, that calmness is the discipline that protects it. A calm mind is not distracted by every disruption. It does not collapse because plans changed or because others failed to meet expectations. Calmness allows you to adapt without losing your center. It grants you the emotional resilience to face what is necessary without being overwhelmed by what is trivial. Through calmness, you preserve the stamina needed for the battles that truly matter. Noise feeds on your attention. Every time you react impulsively, you offer a piece of yourself to forces you cannot control. Calmness reclaims that attention. It reminds you that not every stimulus deserves a response. It teaches you that endurance is built not by endless struggle, but by wise conservation. You are not made weaker by calmness. You are made sharper, more focused, and infinitely more prepared for the long war that life can sometimes be. A man who maintains calmness under pressure carries an invisible advantage. Where others scatter their thoughts and exhaust themselves chasing every ripple, he moves with precision. Where others crumble after a few setbacks, he endures. His mind remains his own. His emotional energy stays under his control. He is not fueled by the chaos around him. He is fueled by the clarity within him. You protect your energy by choosing your battles with care. You protect your focus by refusing to react to everything loud. You protect your peace by not giving it away every time frustration invites you to lose it. Calmness is not the absence of feeling. It is mastery over feeling. It is the decision to act only when action serves your higher aim, not your temporary emotions. In the modern world, everything fights for your attention. Notifications, news cycles, endless opinions. Each one carries a price, not in money, but in mental bandwidth. Calmness says, you are not obligated to pay that price. You can choose what enters your mind. You can choose what earns your energy. You can live deliberately, not reactively. The Stoics warned against living as slaves to external events. They understood that life is unpredictable, and peace belongs to those who prepare their inner world, not those who wish the outer world to behave. Calmness is the preparation. It is the armor you forge long before the battle arrives. It is the steady flame you guard in a world that tries to blow it out. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It is necessary. When you are drained, you cannot lead. You cannot think clearly. You cannot serve others. Calmness is the oxygen mask you put on first so that you can move powerfully, wisely, and purposefully through the turbulence of life. Calmness reminds you that the most dangerous opponent you face is not outside you. It is the fatigue that comes from fighting battles that should have been walked past. It is the exhaustion that comes from scattering yourself too thin. Protect your energy by protecting your calmness. Stand guard at the gates of your mind. Spend your strength only where it grows you. In the end, it is not the man who exhausts himself, chasing every noise, who wins. It is the man who moves with calm, who chooses his focus, who builds his endurance quietly but relentlessly. Protect your calmness. Protect your future. 5. Building in silence. Real work, the kind that reshapes a life, is almost always invisible at first. In a world obsessed with instant results and public validation, there's a quiet power in moving without announcement, building without applause, and sharpening your edge without seeking permission. Building in silence is not hiding. It is prepared with patience, maturing with discipline, and trusting the strength that grows away from the spotlight. Noise loves to distract you from the real game. It pushes you to broadcast every step and seek approval before the foundation is even strong. But the truth is simple. What is built loudly rarely lasts. True foundations are laid in the dark, brick by brick, in hours no one counts, in efforts no one sees. The man who works without the need to be seen is the man who eventually cannot be ignored. Stoic philosophy teaches that external praise is unreliable, fleeting, and ultimately meaningless. What matters is not how loudly the world applauds, but how deeply your character roots itself. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire of his time, yet spent his mornings writing reminders to himself to stay grounded, to stay invisible to the temptations of fame, to work for inner excellence rather than outer recognition. When you build in silence, you conserve your energy for the work itself. You are not bleeding your focus into constant explanations or displays. You move differently. You think longer term. You measure success not by how many people are watching, but by how deeply your actions align with your purpose. Each silent hour you invest shapes the man you're becoming. The early mornings when you study without anyone knowing, the late nights you spend honing your craft instead of scrolling for distraction, the decisions you make quietly in favor of discipline rather than indulgence. These are the seeds that eventually bloom into greatness, even if the world notices only much later. Silence forces you to confront yourself. Without the noise of praise or criticism, you must ask, am I building because it matters, or because I want to be seen building? Am I moving toward my true goal, or am I performing for others? In that brutal honesty, growth begins. In that silence, authenticity is forged. Building in silence also protects you from the emotional chaos that derails so many. When you constantly seek validation, every criticism becomes a threat. Every delay becomes a humiliation. But when you work silently, you strip away the noise. You answer only to your standards, your mission, your higher self. No one can take that from you. There will be moments when doubt creeps in. Moments when you wonder if anyone will ever notice the work you do, the sacrifices you make. In those moments, remember, silence is not emptiness, it is gestation. It is the necessary darkness before growth breaks through. Oaks grow slowly, unseen, before they tower. Rivers carve through stone slowly, persistently, far from applause. The man who endures silence builds a foundation that noise cannot shake. He is not reactive. He is not desperate for attention. He builds steadily, confident that when the time comes, the depth of his preparation will speak louder than any words could. Let others announce every step, seek attention for every minor achievement, and exhaust themselves chasing validation. You are playing a different game. You are building for longevity, for strength, for the kind of power that grows too deep to uproot. Every silent decision, every quiet morning, every moment you choose discipline over distraction becomes part of the architecture of a life built strong, silent, and unshakable. Stay steady, stay unseen, stay focused, because the work that is truly yours will never need to shout. 6. Sharp decisions versus loud mistakes. Sharp decisions are never born from noise. They are carved from stillness, from restraint, from the rare ability to hold silence long enough to hear what truly matters. In a world desperate for instant reactions, the man who pauses, who watches, who thinks before he moves, gains an edge others will never see coming. Mistakes made in haste are rarely small. A single word said in anger can fracture trust built over the years. A rushed decision in business can cost opportunities that never return. A reactive move under pressure often creates more chaos than the original problem ever could. When you let urgency dictate your moves, you surrender the greatest advantage you have, your judgment. The world rewards speed, but Stoic wisdom rewards discernment. Marcus Aurelius never spoke of rushing to answer. He spoke of examining impressions carefully, of not being led by the first emotion that rises. In every serious moment of life, it is not the man who moves first who wins. It is the man who moves right. When you cultivate calmness, you sharpen your decision-making. You learn to feel the rush of urgency without obeying it. You learn to separate what is truly urgent from what merely feels urgent. You create a pocket of silence between stimulus and response. And in that silence, you find clarity. Each day offers you dozens of opportunities to practice. The heated argument where you want to defend yourself immediately. The email that provokes frustration the moment you read it. The impulsive offer that demands a yes before you've weighed the cost. Every situation offers the same two roads: react blindly or pause wisely. Sharp decisions come from slowing down when it matters most. They come from recognizing that you are never obligated to match the energy of chaos. You can stay composed when others unravel. You can stay deliberate when others stumble. In that gap between what happens and how you choose to meet it lies your freedom, your leverage, and your strength. A sharp decision does not guarantee comfort. Often, the clearest choice is also the hardest. It may require disappointing others. It may require enduring temporary discomfort instead of chasing quick relief. But comfort is never the measure of a good decision. Alignment is. Honor is. The life you want to build demands you choose from your principles, not your pressures. Building this discipline starts with small acts. Breathe before responding. Count 5 heartbeats before committing to anything under pressure. Step back mentally when emotions rise. Train yourself to love the feeling of pause, the brief space where wisdom can speak louder than ego. Over time, these small acts forge something most people never experience: a mind that is sharper under pressure, not cloudier. A presence that cuts through noise without raising its voice. A steady inner compass that does not tremble every time the world shakes. The man who learns to make sharp decisions does not chase every opportunity. He selects carefully. He does not fight every battle. He picks his ground. He does not react to every comment or every glance or every provocation. He remains grounded, focused, and dangerous in his precision. Loud mistakes are expensive. They cost you peace. They cost you momentum. They cost you relationships. But sharp decisions build you a different life. A life where you move fewer times but strike deeper. Where you spend less energy but achieve more impact. Where you win not by reacting fastest, but by thinking clearest. In a noisy world, be the quiet one who sees clearly. Be the one who listens longer, moves later, but lands stronger. Because in the end, the man who chooses his moves carefully shapes not just his day, but his destiny. 7. Master yourself. Master everything. Mastery does not begin with conquering the world. It begins with conquering yourself. Before you can lead others, before you can change circumstances, before you can build anything that lasts, you must win the quiet, invisible battles inside your own mind. The world will offer endless reasons to blame, endless triggers to react, endless invitations to lose yourself in anger, fear, pride, or distraction. But no force outside you is as dangerous as the chaos within you, left unchecked. The Stoics knew this. They taught that real freedom is not found in changing the world. It is found in mastering how you respond to it. Mastering yourself means understanding that every emotion, every impulse, every fear that rises in you is not a command. It is a suggestion. You are immersed. You're not obligated to obey the first feeling that strikes. You can observe it. You can question it. You can choose differently. Self-mastery is the difference between the man who reacts to offense and the man who uses restraint as a weapon. Between the man who seeks comfort at every turn and the man who embraces discomfort as the training ground for greatness. Between the man who chases validation and the man who builds internal respect that no one can give or take away. Every situation that provokes you is an invitation to either strengthen your discipline or surrender it. Every moment of stress, temptation, or fear is a fork in the road. You either move closer to the man you are meant to be or drift further from him. This is why Stoic practice emphasizes daily work. Not grand declarations, not dramatic one-time victories, but small, consistent acts of self-rule. The choice to rise early when comfort whispers to stay in bed, the decision to hold your tongue when pride demands to speak, the discipline to act with principle when shortcuts are easier. Self-mastery is not about never feeling doubt or fear. It is about standing your ground when they come. It is about refusing to be a slave to momentary emotions. It is about reclaiming your mind from the noise that tries to dictate how you should think, feel, and move. A man who masters himself no longer fears setbacks. He understands that failure does not define him, only his reaction to it does. He no longer fears the unknown. He trusts his ability to face it with clarity. He no longer fears the judgment of others. He knows that true respect, the kind that matters, begins within. When you master yourself, you begin to see life differently. You no longer chase every opportunity. You discern the few that align with your mission. You no longer panic at every obstacle. You see them as part of the path. You no longer waste your energy explaining yourself to those who cannot see your vision. You conserve it for building, for leading, for creating. The man who governs himself becomes immovable when life tests him. He becomes reliable when others waver. He becomes trusted, not because he promises certainty, but because he embodies stability. Master yourself, and the noise of the world becomes background music, not a command. Master yourself, and failure becomes a teacher, not a defeat. Master yourself, and you gain the rarest advantage of all, the ability to move through life with focus, resilience, and peace that cannot be shaken from the outside. Because when the storm rises, when the ground shifts, when the world demands your reaction, the man who has conquered himself does not react. He responds, calmly, clearly, powerfully. He leads not because he shouts louder, he leads because he stands steadier. In a world addicted to noise and urgency, the man who remains strong, silent, and unshakable holds a rare kind of power. Calmness is not retreat, it is mastery. It is the ability to face pressure without folding, to hear chaos without letting it fracture your mind, and to move through storms with the quiet precision of a man who knows himself. Throughout this journey, you've seen how preparation through calm builds resilience, how clarity rises above noise, how stillness forges true strength, how calmness protects your energy, and how silent persistence shapes a life that others cannot shake. You have seen why sharp decisions, not loud reactions, carve real victories, and why mastering yourself ultimately means mastering everything that truly matters. Now it is your time. Take these principles and carry them into your daily battles. Move with quiet focus, build in silence, choose restraint over reaction, guard your mind like a fortress, and when the world demands you rush, shout, or break, stand firmer, stay calmer, strike sharper. Your calmness is not weakness, it is your signal of strength. If today's message resonates with you, I invite you to share your own battles and victories in the comments below. Your story matters, and your calmness will lead more than just yourself. It will lead others who are still searching.